Hey everybody, it's good to see you all again. I know it's been a while, but I hope you all can understand that sometimes I just can't get out, and I'm sure that you can. But my name is Eric Comley, and I'm the Gary County 4-H Youth Development Agent. I work for the University of Kentucky College of Agriculture, Food, and Environment and the Cooperative Extension Service, and this is called On the Ground. And I've been doing these segments now, since the early part of the spring into spring, and hopefully as we transition both through summer and through fall, I'll get the chance to do a lot more of them. But I've been doing these segments so that hopefully people who don't have the opportunity to get out and see some of the wildflowers, or may not have some of these just in areas around you, that they have the opportunity to get out and see some of these things, or they can watch them via these segments that I've been doing. So anyway, I hope that you all are still enjoying them, and I'm going to continue to do them and put them out, and so I hope that you all will continue to watch. So I wanted to show you all this plant here, okay? So this one, and I'm gonna bend that forward. I don't wanna break or anything. You all can see that one. And you can see this one here. This one is actually called, and I'm gonna get this piece of grass right there. This one is actually called, the scientific name for it is Achillea millefolium, and the common name for it is Common Yarrow. All right, and this is a really common plant. You're going to find this. It's actually considered an invasive, or considered naturalized now. We find it in fields. It's a roadside plant, so it's not something that's going to be terribly difficult to find, but it is one that's really amazing, and we should absolutely pay attention to it. So we, first of all, just out of the love of butterflies and insects, it's definitely one that's going to attract butterflies. So that right there. But let's get back into the etymology of where the name comes from. So Achillea, Achillea, actually refers to Achilles. And so Achilles supposedly used this plant to treat the wounds of his soldiers during the Trojan War. Okay, so there's a reference for you. So Achillea is the genus. The species, or the epithet, is millefolium. If you all know what millipedes are, some people call them thousand-leggers, and milli meaning thousand, and then folium meaning leaves, actually refers to these heavily dissected leaves that you see here. And I don't know if you can see how well you can actually see that. So anyway, so this plant is so really common. This is about as tall as it's going to get. They can get up to a couple of feet tall. It's actually in the family Asteraceae, which is our largest family of flowering plants in the world. You have orchids and you have asters, and this is in that group here. You can actually see some of the distinguishing features about asters is, if you look at the flower, you can see you can actually see what are called the ray flowers. So those are those white petals that are on the outside. And then if you look on the inside, you see what are called the disc flowers. And so this one actually has two different kinds of flowers on the same thing. The flower type that you're seeing here is, this is called I want to say this is a corymb, C-O-R-Y-M-B. I believe that's correct. And what that means is that you're going to have these stalks of flowers that are going to come up here, and this one is actually a compound corymb, I believe, and it's going to come up, and you're going to have it, and it's going to have this kind of flat top on it. And we see this a lot, like in Queen Anne's lace, and so this is one that a lot of people will sometimes confuse with Queen Anne's lace. Now, Common Yarrow is one name that it has, but it has all kinds of different names. One of them is bloodwort, not bloodroot, not sanguinaria, but bloodwort. It's also called nosebleed. It's also called milfoil. It's also called, I think, woundwort. So there's like 7 or 8 or 9 different names of this plant, and that's why knowing those scientific names or those binomials sometimes can really help out, because you may be in one county or one state and say, oh, this is Common Yarrow, and then somebody else knows it as bloody nose, okay, which is another name for it. So so that's why it's important, or not important, but it makes it a lot easier that when you're discussing plants, especially with people who have at least a base of knowledge about binomials or about scientific names, then it makes it a little bit easier. Now, the reason this one is so important is because there are, and I'll show you I want to show you the book where, one of the books that I bring out with me, because I want to make sure I check my information before I do some of these segments, but had talked about that inside this plant, inside Common Yarrow, there's 100 biologically active compounds. That is incredible to think about. There's actually there's 12 other compounds, and I can't remember. I've got a little fly that's actually buzzing around here, but this plant is extremely useful. Okay, as a matter of fact, they in the book that I was reading, it was talking about how it believed that this plant would be more actively used in wounds that were caused by iron. So even our Civil War, they used this particular plant to treat wounds because of the large amounts of iron that were used in some of the ammunitions that we were using during the war. So really just just an amazing plant. And that's one of the cool things about plants, is that, and as you get in and you research a little bit more and more, as you find out all these little nicky-knack things that make it just that much more interesting. And so when you find out like what a little bit about the name and a little bit about its uses, if it does have any historical uses or even current uses, there's so much to learn. Not only, about plants, yes, of course, and I'm fascinated by plants, but just our natural world. And and I've talked about this 1,000 times, but the interconnectivity, not only the interconnectivity with this plant and our own history, but the interconnectivity between this plant and the biological importance and the ecological importance of it with the rest of the ecosystem that you have around here. So like I talked about in the beginning, I had we've got butterflies that use this, and it's a butterfly attractant. Then you've got, I've already had little flies and all kinds of beetles and things like that are actually working its way around, that are feeding on this plant. So just a lot of cool stuff that happens with plants. So I encourage you all to get out if you can. If you can't, I hope these segments are really helping you out, and you're getting to see some things that maybe you didn't have the chance to see before. So I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna take a few pictures of this flower, and then I'm actually gonna go across or just over the field here and take a few more pictures of. There's a little beetle that's actually on it right now. Is there's some oxeye daisy that's right behind me here, and I'm going to take a few pictures of that one too. So anyway, if you ever have any questions about anything, feel free to contact me. My email address is eric, eric.comley, COMLEY @uky.edu, or you can reach out to me on the Garrett County 4-H Facebook page and see some of the other things that we have going on, some of the amazing things that that maybe not I'm doing, but we definitely put a lot of stuff on there that Kentucky 4-H and some of my coworkers, not only in my district but also across the state, are doing as well. So if you ever have any questions, or you just want to reach out and see what's going on in 4-H, please feel free to do that. But I'll go ahead and stop, and thank you so much. This has been On the Ground with your 4-H agent, Eric Comley. Thank you.